Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2.
Okay, we will start the meeting. I'd like to begin by thanking Councillor Tierney for chairing the past term of this committee and doing so in such a way that no media are attending today.
You're welcome.
Okay. I want to begin the meeting with declarations of interest. None. Confirmation of minutes of June 16th.
Carried.
It's moved by Councillor Leeper, and it's carried. Yep. Okay. IT Subcommittee terms of reference. Do we have any discussion on that? No. Carried. And the 2015 draft operating capital budget tax and rates supported IT subcommittee. Go ahead.
Yes, I have a presentation to make. You can hear me. I have a bit of a cold today, so if I have to bow out of the presentation, Alain Rochefort will take over for me. Hopefully I can get through this. It's fairly short.
Okay.
The proposed operating budget for the ITS department is $62 million, including compensation, benefits, and operating costs for things such as training, software, hardware, and professional services. The recoveries and allocations portions represent a small amount of revenue for pay phones available in rec centers, etc., as well as recoveries for printing costs, software, etc. The net change over 2014 is 3.1%, and FTEs remain constant at 303 positions. The 3.1% change is made up of three pressures. The first being the adjustments for compensation and benefits driven by collective agreement settlements. The second area for pressures is for hardware and software maintenance fees and contractual increases to ensure continued vendor support, patches, and upgrades for our investments. Maintenance fees are required to support the installed network hardware and software technology infrastructure, including storage, servers, data communications, server virtualization, inflationary increases for existing contracts, as well as to cover expired warranties and true-ups for licenses. Should be noted that this also takes into account reductions from software and hardware that was decommissioned last year. The maintenance fee increase for enterprise software solutions, including e-records and document management, Oracle database licenses, application server licenses, IBM Cognos business intelligence software, Oracle Service Bus and identity management, and Microsoft Enterprise Solutions, and the Portfolio Project Management Solution. The third pressure is with regards to Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, or AODA. Under the AODA legislation, the City is required to ensure that all public-facing services over the web and or through online applications meet AODA standards by 2021. In addition, the City must provide an ongoing process to annually review and audit online systems available to the public and take corrective actions as necessary. There are currently over 50 applications on Ottawa.ca and theatre ticketing that will require an assessment to be conducted in 2015 and a remediation plan identified to address the gaps. An AODA expert in accessibility software design will be contracted to review each of the 50-plus applications to identify the gap and determine the recommended actions. ITS staff will endeavor to address any quick hits in 2015. However, some applications whose technology is out of date may require complete replacement of the technology and procurement of a new solution, or in the case of in-house applications, rewritten. The analysis of 2015 will develop a plan and corresponding budget estimate for the work that will be required between now and 2021. The technology is a key component in the delivery of city services and reliable, cost-effective and well-managed. The city's computing environments is vast and complex, with 345 connected sites, 2 data centers, 400 physical servers, and 1,034 connected buses, including paratranspo. The telecommunications infrastructure includes 49 PBX phone systems and 2,380 telephone lines. Excuse me. ITS supports 4 enterprise platforms, including SAP, Geographic Information Systems, Business Intelligence, and Records Management and Management Systems. There are over 400 business-specific applications and 14,500 IT devices that includes computers, laptops, and mobile devices. There is one email system with 11,500 email accounts. The ITS department is made up of 4 branches, beginning with our Operations, Services, and Solutions branch, which is primarily responsible for keeping the business areas running. This includes the IT service desk, site support, as well as support and maintenance for enterprise and business-specific software. The Technology Infrastructure branch is primarily responsible for the city's technology infrastructure, including the corporate computing network and telecommunications. Key systems include voicemail, email, as well as managing the city's 2 data centers and the connectivity between 345 sites. Telecom services process over 5 million voicemails annually. The Information and Risk Management Group ensures the security of citizens and corporate data. Information Security Unit manages an average of 80 to 90 incidents and investigations annually. The Project Management Office supports tools and templates to support project managers in ITS as well as other departments. As well, the group supports the ITS Professional Services Standing Offer, handling 80 to 100 call-ups per year. The Project Services and Solutions branch delivers projects that bring new value and transformative change to the city to help achieve Council's priorities and objectives outlined in the city's strategic plan. The branch works closely with a wide variety of technology partners to ensure solutions that are reliable and compatible with the city's complex computing network and standards. The vast majority of IT resources, budget, and staff support lights-on operations. This includes daily support as well as life-cycling, patching, upgrading of technology. ITS spends 30% of its capacity on projects, which includes major enhancements to existing applications, technology, and transformative projects. According to Gartner, this is comparable to most organizations. ITS has focused the last 2 years largely on projects and minimized enhancements. Summary of Capital Authority. For 2015, ITS has requested funding of $1.659 million to fund the replacement and growth of the city's computer network and telecommunications infrastructure. You will notice that in the outer years that the capital funding increases each year by year to meet the city's technology lifecycle replacement needs. A number of the investments in infrastructure technology was made at the time of the amalgamation and shortly after amalgamation. Hence, a number of these technologies have now reached end of life. For example, we have 60 SAP Unix servers that are now 9 years old and require replacement. The capital budget is necessary. In 2015, funding will be used to replace end-of-life equipment such as data storage systems, Wi-Fi systems beginning with City Hall, as well as Unix servers running SAP, other key database systems such as water billing, tax, business intelligence, and data and voice communications. The draft budget delivers on the important aspects that make Ottawa a connected city for all residents and businesses. It funds the aging IT infrastructure to ensure a stable environment, allows us to assess the accessibility of online public-facing services, and maintains the software and hardware needed for service delivery. That concludes my presentation.
Do you have any questions? Okay, Councillor Leeper.
Thank you for that, Ms. Pankey. First, just with respect to the accessibility audits and our roadmap moving forward with that, can you give us an idea more precisely in 2015 when we might see your report with respect to what needs to be done?
Yes, we hope to have the report concluded in Q3. That time, we'd like to bring back what the state of those applications are, what the remedies are, and bring forward a plan as well as a budget estimate to address that remediation.
And then secondly, and this isn't something I've raised before, but it strikes me listening to the presentation, we're at an interesting crossroads with respect to where technology is going, focus on apps. I know there's some interesting things coming out of IT with respect to snowplows, for instance, not to steal anyone's thunder. How are we investing in the training of our staff? Do you feel that we have the resources necessary to make sure that their skills are, constantly at the right level?
We do have a training budget, of course, in IT, and we prioritize that training budget to ensure that we're meeting the needs of the applications and various technologies that we support. We have, particularly in the software area in the past year, endeavored to try to move some of our staff up to the newer technology that's been purchased and implemented over the last 3 or 4 years. So we do have competing demands with our staff. We have to be able to support some of the old world and older technology at the same time trying to transition them to the newer platforms.
Okay. And then finally, I think we've spoken before about a strategic roadmap for this term of council. What are the steps leading up to when this committee will be taking a look at that?
We're currently working in-house to put together a plan and report that we'd like to bring forward and share with the committee. There is an internal process to be vetted through the Senior Management Committee, and that would be our next step, starting with that.
Is that something we'd be looking at by summer?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the plan.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Councillor Tierney.
Great. Thank you very much for that presentation. And kind of a follow-up to Councillor Leeper, I'm very happy to see that we're moving to it looks like 30-70, where it used to be more of a 60-40 model before, more on the development side, more of the newer technology. And that's taken a lot of work over the last 4 years to get to that point. So are we comfortable in saying, Service Ottawa did a lot of that great work for us too, where we had to make a lot of changes to adapt and make things happen. Are we going to continue on this trajectory with, development also being a priority, not just the maintenance and keeping lights on?
Well, certainly, as you saw on the slide, we are reserving 30% of our complement to put towards strategic initiatives for IT and on behalf of departments. In terms of our own internal planning process, we're looking at the city strategic plan and making sure that the initiatives are aligning and supporting the strategic goals.
Right, and it's quite the balancing act because we are a victim of our own success at times over the 4 years where more and more people wanted to do more in their departments. So I think you're right, the strat plan is going to be very important. Just a second question in relation to leadership within the department. Are we actively working on that file? Are we looking at filling that void in the future at any point?
Chair, I sent the memo out on Friday, and I'm sorry, Councillor Tierney, maybe you didn't see, but I sent a memo out denouncing the CIO on Friday. He starts on March 2nd. His name is Charles Duffett, and he's been introduced to the extended management team this Wednesday.
And that's fabulous, a good little tee up there. Maybe you can give us a little information on the new CIO. I think that's pretty important for this group. Maybe just a high level.
He, the first decade of his career, he spent in the federal government at Justice and some other departments. He then went on to the private sector. He was a VP at March Networks, went over to Nortel. Then he ended up at Abbott Laboratories, where he was a CIO there. He then has done an interchange with the federal government at shared services. He just put in the secret network for the federal government, so that new initiative they did to protect their security. He was part of that. He's also part of the planning that is putting together the shared services, part of that inner team that was advising the Deputy Minister. So he has extensive public and private sector experience. He's now working for, he formerly was working with CATA. He was a CIO there, and he was being assigned to different organizations as a CIO. He's got 30 years of experience. He certainly is a very personable individual. My experience with him is that he's able to talk about technology from a business perspective, and he sees the business driving technology, or technology supporting the business. So he has a really good perspective on what's happening and what's current out in the environment. We've teed him up with the whole notion of becoming, and enhancing the work we're doing around becoming a digital city. He's very much bought into that challenge about how do we move forward on our web, how do we get more innovation into the organization. So he's quite excited by the opportunities, and he also, I think what attracted him to come here is the incredible work that our IT department and Service Ottawa program has done over the last 4 years in terms of what they've implemented here. I gave him all that material before offering him the job, before he made the decision, and he's just, he thinks we're leaders in government right now in terms of the things we have implemented and what we can use to build upon. So he's excited by the opportunity to come and take us to the next level.
Great. Thank you for that very much, Steve, and thank you for all the great work you've done on this file. It's improved us a lot over the 4 years. And just as a footnote, I think Chair Shirelli, there's only a couple other nerds around City Hall, and Chair Shirelli and Leeper are definitely in that category, so they'll do quite well in making sure this committee moves ahead after Marianne and I kind of led the initial charge. So thank you for that.
Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you. Just building on that, one of the things I'd like to tell you that I think would be interesting is I had a meeting with somebody about something completely different, but he said he wanted to congratulate the city, so we don't hear that very often. And it was because of when we went to the open data, it's now 2 councils ago, we went to that, you'd used a different base for the website, and a lot of local companies been in. He told me 8 to 10 new companies have started in Ottawa doing international work because of that move. So that it shows that if we do move forward, and I'm very happy to hear, because that's one of the things I was concerned about with all the changes we've had, whether we're going to continue to move towards that whole open system of government, that the new CEO, I know of him, of course, because he's worked in my area for quite a while, but he's going to bring an awful lot here, and the existing staff as well, because you've been working on this all the way along. So that's just a piece of good news to start with before I ask my questions. But the 5-year, the roadmap, I talked about a term of council, and we've always done it as a 5-year roadmap with a revolving, because you can't just stop at the end of council and wait till the next council comes. You have to, is the roadmap when it comes forward going to be in that format of the 5 years that we would review every year because technology changes fast enough, you really have to do that? Or are we going to go back to just this term of council thing, which I think is not a smart thing to do with technology?
We've been having some discussions about that internally, because the working with the term of council provides some challenges when where we are right now with the start of a new council, and we're sort of have work that we were carried forward from last year, and then starting to develop the plan for the next year. So it could be that maybe a 5-year makes more sense.
Well, that's what we did originally. I think Steve Kanalakis will remember that was a whole emphasis really to starting the IT committee and doing that for both the city and then a separate 5-year plan for transit. Are you still working on the transit file, or has that gone back to transit? It seems to hit back and forth every once in a while.
The IT transit is with transit.
See, that's one of the problems we do. We split things up and then they need to be coordinated. I don't know whether they, because everything is just separate systems, and then we don't, to integrate them is so difficult when you do that.
We do, We do work closely with the manager of IT at Transit. He is part of my DMT, so we're regularly working with them. They're on the same network. We integrate systems together. For example, last year we had a number of projects to integrate the Presto solution with the SAP solution. So we're planning together as well in terms of our operational requirements.
But if you're doing a 5-year roadmap, it has to show how that integration with transit is working into it. So are we doing an integrated one for what would combine the city and transit, or are they separate and just linked in some way?
I think that will need to be part of it together.
Okay, so we'll see that when it comes forward then. Okay, because I think that the IT is so complex these days, and I hope that somewhere in there, and fixing up the web, that we'll be able to plug in search words in our own system and get what we want without having to use Google to find things in the Ottawa website. Is that going to be happening? Because that's, right now, sometimes to find things, the easiest way is to use Google. If you try to use the city's search engine, it just brings up a whole bunch of reports, and you've got to try to figure out which report matters. That doesn't work very well. Yeah. And I know they've made huge inroads. I mean, this website has improved enormously. That's the one thing that's still lagging.
Okay. I'll look into that. Thank you.
You may not all be aware of it, but even city staff people tell me they use Google to find things on the city website. And maybe we should just use Google. I mean, let's not try to do it ourselves. The I notice on your capital budget, let's just say that the third year is the big year. I don't know whether that's because of having to go through to get the council priorities to get the funding you need for IT, or whether we can try to get something a little more straightforward in there, because it worries me a little bit if we put things off.
It's a bit of a reflection of the change in how the accounting treatment's been handled. So in the past, we had larger capital budgets that, and we have some WIPs that are still open that we're able to use to fund those first 2 years. So what you're seeing in the latter third and fourth year is really what we expect would be the normal ongoing cost every year to life cycle our IT investments.
We started off with a lot of this to try to get efficiencies using technology, and I've heard it said that we've now made those efficiencies, which also worries me a bit, because as things change, you can still make them. Is there still within your program that you're going to bring forward ways in which we can continue to provide efficiencies in not just IT but in the operating departments? That, because I don't think that efficiencies ever end, and it's something that we're asked about frequently.
Yes, certainly as departments bring forward proposals for IT investments, that's one of the things departments look at is what are the business efficiencies that they're hoping to achieve, and we're also working with them from the IT perspective to talk about, how realistic that is, how achievable it is, what savings can we also realize on the IT side. So it's always a consideration in reviewing those business proposals for IT investments as they come forward.
So departments come forward with their plans, but I know departments sometimes are expecting to do things that probably they are not the ones that should do it. Is there some way when it comes to IT that you can let them know that's not a good way to go? Because I know they tend to be very defensive of these things.
Oh, definitely. When they bring forward those ideas, it's a collaboration to look at what that request is and what they're trying to achieve, and how can IT help them.
And whether or not it should be tied to other departments in a similar way so you don't duplicate things? Definitely.
Where possible, we're looking at enterprise solutions so that more than one group can benefit from those types of initiatives.
And some of the things we've had problems with technology, say, is in when people are booking courses and various other things. And there's one person made out today, they said, you have to stay in September for swim lessons for your kids for this 2 terms, and then you have to stay in the second term what level they'll be at, and you have no idea what level they're going to be at. Is there some way of being able to, are you working with them to make that a bit more flexible so that the actual children can go into the right level of swimming? Because kids change a lot in learning.
One of the things that needs to be addressed in this term of council is a look at the current Parks and Rec system, and in particular, perhaps entertain an RFP for a new solution, or perhaps the next version of the one that we're on. But the solution that we currently have is coming at end of life, and so it's an opportunity to look and see, well, what else is out there? Is there something better? And so there'll be a chance to relook at what our business requirements are.
So that will be part of the roadmap coming forward then?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I really want to say thank you for the work you've done. I think I've seen over, since we set up this committee, what now, 5-6 years ago now, that it's really made a big difference to have a more of a focus on the IT to help the municipalities serve people better. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So we have I think that's for you. So we have a motion then. Councillor Leeper.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Be it moved, I guess, that the Information Technology Subcommittee recommend that Council, sitting as Committee of the Whole, approve the IT Subcommittee portion of the 2015 draft operating and capital budget as follows. 1, the Information Technology Services budget as follows. A, operating resource requirement, page 6 of the ITSC budget book. B, capital budget, page 12 of the ITSC budget book, the individual projects listed on page 13.
All right, questions? Any debate? No? All in favor?
Aye. Carried.
It's carried. All right, notices of motion. None. Inquiries? Other business? Motion to adjourn. It's moved by Councillor Wilkinson. Carried.